Hi, this is your old friend Brian Godfrey, and if you're a parent in Utah that's trying to enforce parent time and you're struggling, you're going to love this video. Did you ever wish there was a place where parent time exchanges were under video surveillance to provide evidence of you being on time or being there in the first place? Is it awkward to have to constantly try to document and film your ex? Well, Orem PD has a parking stall designated to help out. These safe spots in Utah are a great idea. If your city's police department doesn't have one of these, if you'd like to encourage your city to get one of these safe spots, or if for some reason your city or a nearby city doesn't have one, email us and we can send you a video about the next best thing. I'm Brian Godfrey with Utah Family Law TV, and I'm here with Lieutenant Martinez of the Orem City Police Department. We're standing in front of the Orem Police Exchange parking stalls that are under surveillance, and we just wanted to ask him a couple questions about it because we think it's a really good idea. So what can you tell us about how these kind of came about?
It was just an idea that we had with Chief Giles.
Okay.
Had heard about it, across the nation.
Okay.
Some police departments starting to use this, so we thought we'd bring it to Utah.
Okay.
Thought it was a great idea not only for exchanging of children, but also exchanging of goods that you purchase online to kind of keep yourself a little more safe.
Sure, because a lot of people buy things on, say, KSL or Craigslist, and you never know really kind of the reputation of the person selling the object.
Yeah.
So you can kind of come here and have that under surveillance if there's any kind of problems going on. And the thing is, he mentioned about parent time exchanges. That's what I think it's probably one of the biggest advantages to having this is during divorce, people are always, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of stress. And if you're at a spot where, if you will, a safe spot where you know that there's a camera and you're right here at the police department, if something were to happen that was bad, I think it would ward off a lot of problems. So have you found that that's been the case?
Yeah, that's what we were looking for. There's been people that have exchanged kids here for years, whether it be by court order or by just them deciding that's what the best thing is to do.
Right.
We've seen it happen in the parking lot quite often. We thought, let's give them a dedicated space to do that. And something that makes them feel more comfortable that they are under surveillance.
Right.
That hopefully things won't go awry.
Right. And so basically the camera's back there. I don't know if you can see it in the shot. You should be able to see it back there. It will do a nighttime shot as well because of the lamp. That's why they picked this spot, because it's pretty much always illuminated. So I think there's one other city that has one of these.
There's a few. I think Spanish Fork does. I believe
Okay.
Sandy does. There's several departments across the state that are starting to implement these.
Okay, and so one of the things that I think this could reduce calls into the police department, especially during like custodial interference. So for those that don't know, what is custodial interference?
Well, that's a hard one to say. There's no
Right.
fine cut. This is custodial interference. What we always try to recommend to people when we have someone that's claiming that one parent is interfering with the other, we always like to see paperwork.
Right.
Paperwork signed by a judge, a court order, and the more detailed the court order, the better.
So like a verified copy of your decree showing the exact time when you're supposed to have your child.
Correct.
So there's no confusion on your end, so you
Yes.
can respond appropriately.
Yeah, we've seen some that are very vague, and there's really, our hands are tired. We can't pull a child from one car and put him into another.
Right.
Because of a very vague,
Right.
decree or court order. So
Okay.
we like it to be very detailed,
Okay.
especially if the court's not open at the time that we need to confer with the city attorney or the court themselves.
Right.
To make sure what is and is not in the record. Always keep that documentation with you.
Right. So always keep a document, basically a verified copy of your divorce decree, so they know it's not just one of the copies floating around or it's an outdated copy. You want the verified, most current copy, so there's no question. That's something good to have. And then as far as custodial interference goes, it's always good to have your communication recorded between you and your ex so that there's no question about, is this supposed to be my holiday? Is it your holiday? Did you agree I could have this holiday? Stuff like that. We've done videos on that to try to help people avoid those problems.
And any record you have, whether it be a handwritten notepad that you're just keeping track of dates, whether it be text messages, voicemails, things like that, always come into play and can always either help or hurt a case depending on which side you're on.
We'll probably share this out to as many people as we can because we think this is a great idea, and that we think that other police departments should take it on if there isn't a lot of cost involved. Can you speak to that at all? Does this really cost anything?
We had our sign shop build the sign, so there's a small cost for the materials and then building it. There was the cost for installing the camera.
Right.
And that was, several $100s. But as far as the cost versus benefit, no question that this was a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. It's cut down probably calls for custodial interference stuff.
I've already burned a few copies of the video for some people. which, I mean, there's a small cost associated with that.
Sure.
I think it's like $10 to get a copy of that.
That's-
Fill out a grammar request, and
Sure.
I burn it, and we're good to go.
That's a very reasonable price for just some footage, because it does take somebody some time to retrieve it, go to the exact date and time.
Yeah.
I edit video, so I know about that.
Because when it comes to, removing a child from one parent to another, forcibly removing,
Right.
saying, no, you've got to go with mom, or you've got to go with that because
Right.
that's what the court order shows, we've got to walk a fine line of being sure that we know exactly what we're dealing with here. Because to do that, that's traumatic for kids. And personally, from a personal standpoint, my parents went through an acid divorce when I was young, and I remember 2 o'clock in the morning being woken up to yelling, fighting, banging, and being pulled out of my bedroom window by my mom.
Right.
So it's traumatic for kids. They remember it. I was young, but I still remember it to this day. And so we want to make sure, if we're going to take a child, that one parent has custody of them right then and give them to another parent, we need to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row.
Right.
And that's not only to protect us, that's to protect you.
Right, and it helps the kids, and that's been kind of the frustration with the whole custodial interference problem, is that when you're going through a divorce and you're right in the middle of that custodial interference, that's one of the hardest things for parents to go through, is not only just all the stress around, is it my time, is it your time, are they playing a game, am I being difficult? That's the biggest problem in divorce, I think. Once you get past kind of the parent time exchange, you're not having to torture your own kid, as you were talking about it from it sounded like kind of a painful childhood memory. That was the hardest thing for me as a parent, was kind of having to peel my kid off of me to send him back, when in his mind he didn't know that he'd see me again, because it would be pushed kind of to the farthest point that he didn't have to see me, literally to the envelope of 30 days, stuff like that. And those things happen during divorce. And
and divorce is hard on not only the parents, but very, very hard on kids.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we wish we lived in a world where two parents could agree that, hey, we're both good parents. We both want what's good for our kids, and let's be cordial about it. But unfortunately, one, some parents aren't good parents, and two, some parents just decide we're getting divorced and I don't have to get along with anybody. So it's difficult. That unfortunately everybody in these situations can't be grown-ups about it and just do what's best for the kids. But hopefully this will help some people out. We recommend anybody that wants to come here. You don't have to be an Orem resident.
Wow,
You can live
that's
anywhere
good to
you
know.
want and come here, use this, and get a hold of us if you need anything.
And that's a good thing. I think these should be all over the state of Utah. These safe spots really can help. Sometimes people are worried about Big Brother being able to see things. In a situation like this, you want your Big Brother there
You want
to
Big
be
Brother
able
watching, just to
to
protect
help
you.
out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Appreciate your time.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay.